Right, today we went over the common data types, identity and membership operators, and for loops. So for loops are really good at counter-controlled. You can use them for counter-controlled loops, but you can't use them really for creating sentinel-controlled loops. And then we'll talk a little bit about that pre-creation / variable interning. And the range he gave for the variable interning was a roughly -15 to 256 for integers. Those pretty much have like a pre-created location in memory that any value or variable that gets stored to one of those values will just go to that pre-assigned or pre-created location in memory. And it's just a memory optimization thing. You're saving memory or using as little memory as possible. Variable interning. Did I call it that? Variable interning. All right, that's everything from today. This lecture. I'll be back later today to continue working through the textbook. One other thing was that he actually has this like GitHub post on using AI for testing. I think actually, that's actually really, really great to study for something. You give a LLM basically, hey, I'm in this course and these are the topics that we've covered. Give me like an exam. I think that's amazing. That's a really great use of it. So if I have time to study for this next quiz, that's what I'll end up doing. So that's it for right now. Talk to you later today. See ya. All right, welcome back. We're back with computer science. What did we learn about yesterday? Range function. Range function can take up to 3 integer inputs. It returns an arithmetic progression. If you just have one integer input, it will output all the integers that are greater than or equal to 0 and less than the integer input. If you give 2 integer inputs, then it will output all integers that are greater than or equal to the first input and less than the second input. If you have 3 integers, there's two different scenarios. One where the third integer z is positive, one where it's negative. So x, y, z, the 3 integers. So if you have x, y, z and z is positive, then it will output all integers greater than or equal to x, less than y, incremented by steps of z. And if z is negative, then it will be all integers greater than or equal to x, less than y, incremented by steps of z. Okay, this can be helpful for loops, incrementing at different steps in the for loops. What else did we do? We did the compound interest calculation. There were some other notes, weren't there? I can't remember now. All right, that was all good up until it produces a range type object, which is a sequence type object. It's immutable. It's an arithmetic progression. Got that. In general, range type objects are only used with for loops or as part of for loops. So, all right, I'm gonna jump back in, continue learning, and I'll be back to recall what I learned in a little bit. All right, guys. We finished up the unit on the range function. Then we started the unit on while versus for loop. The big takeaway from while versus for loop unit is that you basically want to opt for loops, especially sometimes with the range if necessary, the range function in order to create counter-controlled loops, and use while loops for sentinel-controlled loops. Then we started the next unit, which is on nested loops. So a nested loop is a loop that appears in the loop body of another loop. You've got an outer loop, which is the further to the left, the less indented, and then an inner loop, which is in the body of the other loop. That's the nested loop. And just a little reminder of the ORD, ORD, and CHR, CHR functions. ORD, or ORD function, will take a string input and convert it into its ASCII integer value, and CHR, CHR function does the opposite. It takes a string function, or takes an integer function and converts it into its ASCII string value. So that looks like about it. Yep. Oh, and the reason why for loops are preferred over while whenever they can be used is because for loops never produce infinite loops on accident. So that's it for now. I'll be back later to learn more. So I'll talk to you about. I'm back for more computer science. Earlier we did while versus for loops. We're in the nested loops unit now. We also finished the range function unit. So I'm going to jump back in, learn more, and then be back to recon a little bit. All right, we finished up that unit on nested loops. So there we go. We are done with lecture 15, which is on while versus for loops, nested loops, and for loops with the range function. Yep. Basically was all just like practice problems and exercises for this last session. They really liked if you input a number of rows and number of columns, you can print out like basically like a seating chart saying like row 1, 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C, 3A, 3B, 3C, if there's a 3 and 3. It's basically a matrix, as it is a matrix essentially, but yeah, that's it for today. So talk to you tomorrow. See ya.